Hello, this is Transduction Signal on DubLab Radio. I'm your host, Trovarsi. Join me each month on DubLab Radio for Transduction Signal. I'll be joined by a featured guest who will share their live performances, followed by a short breakdown of their setup, and we'll talk about their music, what's happening in their lives, and their journey being a live artist. All right. So this month, my special guest is Bernard Farley. Bernard is also known as Output Message. He's a singer, dancer, electronic musician whom has created many genres from ambient to techno. He also DJs, and he is the founder of Black Techno Matters. It's a collective based in Washington, D.C., and I'm proud and honored to be a part of this collective. And this collective highlights hundreds of Black artists and has fostered this community for Black creatives. So please welcome Bernard. How's it going, Bernard? Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. This is such an important month too. Like I have been wanting to have you on as a guest since I started this show, but I was like, no, can we please do it for June? And we can get into the reasons why, and fill everyone in, but I'm super excited. I'll let you talk of all the details. But before we get into all that, I want to play your performance. Do you have anything to say beforehand, or?
I'm this performance, I'm calling it now the Lucid Portal.
Ooh, I like it.
I guess I'll just say that.
All right. Cool. I'm digging it. Okay. All right, then. Without further ado, let's listen to this performance. I'm going to mute up. Hell yeah. That was awesome. That was,
Thank you.
yeah. Damn. All right. I have so many questions. Cool. No, seriously. Like I always love listening to you because I never know what to expect, right? Like I know it's gonna be good. I just don't know what I'm gonna get. Like that's like the best part about it. Like before I start asking you questions, like tell us a little bit about your setup, just for those who can't see or didn't see exactly what you were using. Like just kind of give a general layout of what was going on there.
Yeah, so that's kind of like my most typical setup these days, last few months. I have two Roland TR-8S drum machines. There's like a main and then a support. And then because I need a second one for support. And then the MX1, which is the mix performer, and then the VT4, gotcha, which is like a vocal box. And then I also use the XDJ, Pioneer XDJ. I basically just use the effects on the mixer and the mixing effects and stuff as well there. So
nice. So you're taking your final mix into like the DJ mixer and stuff. Did I understand that right? Okay, yeah. Cool. Yeah, no, like it's a great setup. Like, yeah, no, it sounded fantastic. And yeah, yeah, like how do you program? Like, let's get into that a little bit. Like before we dig into your background, like let's talk about what you were doing there for a second, because it was like this halftime thing. I mean, the BPM was fast, but it didn't feel fast. Like I know I could tell it was fast, but so yeah, explain just a little bit about your drum programming and your approach to that.
My drum programming these days is kind of wild. It's kind of I remember when I first started making music, I was trying to make certain beats, trying to make certain rhythms and sounds to see if I could do it. But now with Bernard, it's like the exact opposite. Like I try to do something I haven't heard before.
Nice.
So this particular, so on the drum machine, there's patterns, right? So like there's a bunch of banks of patterns. And so I get really deep into customizing a pattern, like going into the settings and adjusting the volumes and the panning and the effects knobs and the gain, like, I kind of do everything so that almost like whatever I turn, I'm happy with. Like, like there's like rarely a knob where I'm just like, I don't like what that does. If I don't like it, like I'll change it. And in terms of like the beat, the rhythm itself, it's kind of just anything that makes me move. I got really into Autechre. Autechre's like one of my favorite. Like I'm obsessed. When I was growing up as a kid, I was obsessed with Michael Jackson, and then high school and college, I was obsessed with Autechre.
Nice.
And they have all sorts of like crazy rhythms and time signatures and stuff. So I just kind of like jumping in and trying to figure out what I can make. But this particular one, so I think the week before I did it, it was supposed to have a show in Richmond, and our car broke. Our car broke, like the brakes failed.
Oh shit!
And it was the first Black Techno Matters party I was not at. It was like I was like very upset, honestly. But thankfully, it still went on without me.
Good. Well, you run a solid. You got us in check and like have a solid crew. So
yeah, we're a solid crew. It not only still happened, it like was very successful. But there was one of the artists is Lucid, and I heard that they were playing 170 BPM that night. So I was sad I missed that. And then I was like, I want to try that. So that's really what this pattern was. I just like turned the knob to 170 and just started, programming the drums until I was like, okay, I can get used to this. This is good.
Yeah, it was cool. Like, cause it had like this push and pull happening. Like, even though the BPM, like the tempo was fast, if it, you could definitely hear and feel that halftime vibe because I, muted my mic and took off my headphones and turned up the volume here so I could really like feel it and stuff. And yeah, even though it was fat, it did have, you could feel all the grooves in between and hear all the other little percussive elements that were happening. I really liked what you were doing with the vocals, adding the vocals, and just really playing with the delays, like fast and slow. I love doing that too. I love hearing people do that, and I think that you do that really well. It's like almost one of your I don't want to say like almost like a little signature thing you do sometimes of just like kind of winding that. Like that tight, which I love it.
I do that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to break it.
No. Hey, like I get it. Like messing with delays and like seeing if you can before it spirals completely out of control, like just catching it. But I think you do that really well. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And just it's called elusive. Wait, elusive portal, right? Is that
Lucid Portal? So
Lucid Portal.
I named it after the DJ that was playing.
Okay.
And I call it the Lucid Portal.
Okay.
And I have this whole. I'm glad that we get to nerd out a little bit. I have this whole. I'm like conceptualizing this whole thing behind the way I make the music, and so I think of it as like loops, portals, and wormholes now. That's what I mean.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah, that's definitely techno, right? Like on that whole hypnotic flow vibe. Loops, portals, and what was the other one? Say it again.
Wormholes.
Wormholes. Okay. I like it. Yeah. That's a great way to describe techno. If you're feeling that vibe, like in the music, you're definitely on the right journey, right?
Yep. Exactly.
So then how did you, okay, so let's kind of dial back and like go backwards a little bit into your journey. Like how did you get into techno? Like what was into making it? Like what was your path to that, I guess? Like
I kind of resist. It's funny. I kind of resisted making like proper techno, whatever that means. I was doing more like when I first started making music, it was kind of a lot of, kind of pretty melodies and textures, and it was more down tempo.
Okay.
And then I moved to DC and I started DJing. And that's when I really got into techno. This was like mid 2000s. Like I started trying to make something, more danceable music, and I would try house, I tried techno, I tried different things. But I don't know. I listened back to some stuff, and there's always been like some techno there because I was listening to that growing up, But now that's pretty much all I make these days.
I like it though. It's just that vibe. Like it's stripped, but when you're listening, it has like a lot of complexity, a little like textures and things into it, which. Yeah. So, okay. So then did you play with the duo and after you got into techno? So you are also playing a duo called Smoke and Tea, correct? Is that more of like on the ambient side? Because I know you make a ton of styles of music.
Yeah. So that started, what was it, 2017? I think winter 2017. Brian Eno put out this record called Reflections, or it might have just been Reflection. And it's like this hour-long track of just this kind of bell-like texture, all these kind of bell gong sounding things, interesting delays and echoes. And I really loved it. And then Patrick Blankhorn, who's my bandmate for Smoke and Tea, we happened to be like at afters. We were at an afters party at like 3 a.m, and he asked me what my favorite album was, and I said Reflection, and then he was like, "Oh my god, I love that album too." And then so we're talking about ambient music at like an afters, and then we started making music at my old place in the attic, and It's something I always wanted to do. When I was in middle school, Aphex Twin's Selecting Ambient Works Volume 2 was like, I listened to that until like I could, like, it would just skip, the CD would skip in the CD player. Like I loved it. It was just, sometimes it was pretty, sometimes it was like kind of scary. And then Brian Eno, and I've always been a fan of Brian Eno, Harold Budd, stuff like that. Smoking Tea was just like a great opportunity to kind of explore that. It's something I never really, I guess, thought really seriously about doing a lot of, because I was kind of worried, like, who's buying that? Who's this for? But of course, the pandemic happened, and a lot of people really, really appreciated what we were doing with the ambient stuff. Like, I needed it. I realized I needed it, actually, probably more than anything else. So, making all this crazy drum music, and then I need, something to, like, center me.
Right, kind of calm you down, and
Yeah.
some meditative space sort of thing.
Exactly.
Very cool. Well, I mean, you definitely can hear some of the ambient elements even in your techno, the stuff that has, all the heavy beats and stuff like that. You can hear that in there, that influence in there. Very cool. So, like, okay, so you're an Autechre fan, Brian Eno, kind of melding this all together, but you originally, so you're in DC, Washington, DC right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're originally from Queens,
Yeah, I was born in Queens, Flushing, Queens.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where you got into listening to music,
Yeah, actually, I guess I come from like a musical family. I didn't think of it that way growing up, but like, my dad played a bunch of instruments, but he was more into like smooth jazz. So he loved Sade, like Anita Baker. He's also like a big Prince fan, but yeah, he would have all these instruments set up, and he would just like play an instrumental or just play something, and he would jam on top of it. So he was like very much into improvisation, which is like what I do now. And then my mom was, she was really into like partying and going out and dancing and having fun. She had all these disco records, and then, she was, my parents were separated, and she would date. We were in Queens. This is like the early '90s, like remember LL Cool J, his heyday, the New Jack Swing. So she would like date these DJs, and they give her, some mixtapes and stuff. And so that's what I was listening to. It was like disco records. And then they would tell her what to buy too. So we would have some like rare versions of singles, like Crystal Waters, Gypsy Woman. We had like the limited version of that with the extra remixes, the like 12-minute long remixes and stuff. Like,
that's very
I don't even
cool.
know, I don't even know where this stuff is anymore. So that's what I was listening to back then in New York.
Love it. I feel like maybe our moms would have hung out or something. My mom wasn't musical, but she loved music too. Same thing, buying records and stuff, and thinking back to all the different music you've heard and that I've heard. I mean, knowing you now, like, I can see how all those things influenced your music, your style, your dancing. So do you feel like, okay, so I know you love to dance, right? Like, and we've been out dancing, but do you feel that's part of your performance? You're part of the art that you're trying to convey when you're playing, or like, yeah.
So I put out a record called Achilles in 2018, because I tore my Achilles in 2017, I believe. And
that sounds painful.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was painful, I guess, in the moment, but I was pretty active. I'm still pretty active now, thankfully. But like, dancing was never something I really put forth on stage. Like I would sing and I would kind of dance, but like, but when I was younger, again in New York, like I was dancing. Like I had all the Michael Jackson dance moves down. I would do splits. I would do like all sorts of stuff. I would do all the New Jack Swing dances. And but it was like as soon as I wasn't able to walk, it was just like a big wake up call to me. It was just like, whoa, like because I did it. I tore it while playing tennis. I didn't even do anything too crazy. It was just kind of like pop, and then and just like that. So after that, I was just like I just I danced. The next time I danced again was at a pride party the following year, and I started crying because I was like, whoa, I haven't danced. I had just gotten out of my boot cast. And I didn't realize how much I miss dancing. So now dancing is kind of like almost in everything I do. It's I started getting more into like the performance art of what I was doing. I started doing some music videos, like not just dancing, but expressing, being much more expressive, connecting with the music more. And now on the drum machines and when I perform, it's all. I have a friend told me, I think this is a common quote, but everything is a dance, or at least that's one way to look at it. It's like everything is a dance. And so I think even playing on the drum machine, turning the knobs, it's all a dance.
Right. Like how you're dancing, connecting with your instruments. And yes, I get it. I get it. I definitely agree with you when it comes to dancing. I feel very liberated, like very, yeah. But no, seriously, like you just, yeah, I feel, yeah, like you're making a whole other orbital connection, like with outside of yourself. That's,
I mean, I see,
yeah,
there's like choreographed dancing, which has, is awesome. But like, my favorite dancing is like the joyful dancing, the dancing that you just move because you have, because you want to, because you can. So that's the way I see dancing. The way I see music, it's just like free joy. Like if you let yourself experience it and express it, it's just like free joy.
yes. And I know I said liberated, but like, I want to kind of use
Okay.
I want to use that as a good segue into what is happening. Well, but actually, let's talk about Black Techno Matters before we jump into that, right? I'm
Yeah.
so excited for you to explain. So, but first, let's give some people, for those who don't know what Black Techno Matters is, explain where that came from and yeah, like just how it found it. You found it in 2019, right?
2019.
So, okay.
Yeah. Fall of 2019. And I Googled Black techno artists. I was looking for like a list of Black techno artists. And I could not find, I would find like, top 100 DJs or whatever. And of course, okay, there'd be like a few Black artists in there, but I was also finding it was like the same kind of like 5 to 10 names, like,
Yeah.
the legends, but, I was just like, well, where are the Black artists that are making it now? And like, surely, and then I was like, wait a second, isn't techno Black music? Where are all the Black, like why is this so difficult?
Right.
And so I was actually at work, my old office job at the time, and I was just like, not doing what I was supposed to be doing, and I just started researching. Like, I had this little Post-it note, and I filled it. I kept digging on Google until I filled it up with names of artists, and I even cheated a little bit because it was like some of them were aliases of the same artist, but I just wanted like to fill the notepad.
Right.
And then the phrase Black Techno Matters came to me. It was like, what if we throw a party called Black Techno Matters and all Black lineup, kind of, and just because as a performer, that was something I remember experiencing, was that I just was being the only Black artist on the lineup, and so it was a way to start bringing Black artists together to start highlighting them. And we started with events. Of course, this was, remember, fall 2019, so we had a few events, and then all of a sudden, COVID
Shut
was
down.
here.
Right.
Shut down. And actually, I was originally avoiding. I was avoiding social media altogether at that time. Actually, I had this whole project called Weapons of Mass Distraction, where I was like, you can research that. It's like a whole epic, angsty set of music, set of recordings. But
I am gonna look for that.
but during the pandemic, it was just like, well, Black Techno Matters, Instagram was just kind of sitting there. And then we started doing artist highlights, and that took off. And then we, Instagram takeovers, and we started making connections. And next thing you know, people were like, how can I help? And every time someone starts to help, we see what else. Well, what else can we do? How else can we bring spotlight Black artists? And so now it's we're doing shows in multiple cities. We've highlighted hundreds of artists across the world. We have mixes, lots of mixes, and it's just playlists. It's like a whole thing.
Yes, you do the IG takeovers and all of it. Yeah, it's great. We had you out for SoCal Synth Society. Yeah. We did a takeover.
Yeah.
Yep. We connected before it, but that's sort of our first event connection, right? With that, and then playing at the Lash. Mm-hmm. And
that was a fun night.
Yeah, it was. And I love the fact that we got to play together. I feel that we have a lot of similarities, like parallels in our lives, like dancing, the music, dancing, like all that stuff. And I could definitely sense that when we started jamming together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as you started playing, I was like, okay. Okay. This is working. We can do this.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to be out there to play with you. And please tell everybody what is happening this month in June.
Yes. So June. So Black Techno Matters. Yeah. We usually do something for Juneteenth, and this year it's gotten a little bigger. So we're on Sunday, June 18th. We're having an event called Liberate Us, like Liberate US, like our country. Basically, we're doing a party in 7 different cities. We're doing DC, New York City, Richmond, Virginia, Pittsburgh, Detroit, LA, and San Francisco.
Nice. Yes. Yeah. Expansion. Love it. Yeah.
And so you're going to be out here in DC. We're going to be jamming again. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel honored to play this event with you. Like, I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be out there. We get to do our thing. And yeah, like, it's just been great to be a part of the collective and just everyone that's in it. Like, very sweet and really good musicians and producers too. And yeah.
Lots of talent, lots of creativity in our crew. Yeah.
So like, talk about just the other events that you do. I mean, this is going to be an amazing event. This is the big annual event, but you also do like Techno in the Park and do other things to support the community in DC as well. So tell us a little bit about those events too.
Yeah. So that's part of our mission statement, is that, we reclaim techno as Black by creating spaces that celebrate it. So, and we try to do a variety of spaces. So Techno in the Park is one of our most successful events. And it's just really, we have this mobile setup. We just bring it to the park, Malcolm X Park here in DC. And, we let one or maybe sometimes 2 DJs, play for a few hours and just the community comes together. It's a free event. We bring out some lights and stuff, and it's really cute. There's like parents, babies, dogs, people laying down, people dancing. It's just like,
That's awesome. Like a
Yeah.
family style event.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a good change up from, like a dark club. But, we did another event recently. We're going to do it again soon called Future Drum Circle. And that's, we brought 5 different musicians together to play live drum machine and jam
so
out
cool.
for a couple hours. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
When are you doing the next one for that?
In July.
July. Okay.
Which reminds me.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, you got to. You're like, which reminds me, I got to play. Yeah. So, so it's blacktechnomatters.org.
Yep.
Right. And I will also drop that in the comments and in the description below, so everyone can find that. And you all also have done different events in other cities. I know I mentioned SoCal being, I'm in Southern California, being a founder of SoCal. We've done a collaboration, and we will be doing more of those. But you've also collaborated in other cities too, and to branch out. Talk a little bit about that and how you approach that.
So yeah, we take kind of an organic approach to it. Like you can see, there's plants here. I love plants. I love the slow growth, slow natural growth. But yeah, so Fox is from San Francisco, who's in our crew, and he was one of the first person to be like, hey, how can I help? How do we get something going? And eventually it blossomed into, well, let's try to do something in San Francisco. Let's try to do a party in San Francisco. And it was, it went well. We've done a couple of those now, and and then that template kind of repeated, as we were highlighting and connecting with artists digitally, it would turn into things like physically, and we did a show in LA. Of course, we had the show at the Lash, and where else we've been to.
Portland was one, right? Yep.
Portland was one. That was a lot of fun. And then we've done a few shows in Richmond. Actually, we kind of went hard into Richmond this spring. Yeah. So
there's a good crew down there though too.
Yeah, there's a lot of good energy in Richmond. Like they're hungry for techno down there. So yeah.
Nice. And I know one of the things that we talked about is the education side. There's a few of us in the crew, in the collective, that are educators. So we talked about doing some workshops and things like that. So for those of you listening, please be on the lookout for those.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an area I want us to definitely expand in, is education. I know people are hungry for some education. So. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm all for that, as you know. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So let me ask you then. So with all this being said, the collective, the collaborations, making music versus and playing out. So we've talked a lot about the aspect of being live and playing out. Do you so when you think of playing out versus releasing music, do you think that's important to do that, like to release music? And if so, like, and why, I guess?
Well, it's definitely important to release music. I think it's, I like the recorded song format because it's something people can return to. It's good to have, I changed my t-shirt, but I was wearing a shirt that said "Music is Medicine." And there's definitely songs I go back to over and over and over again when I'm like, oh, I need like a pick me up right now. There's this song "Optimistic" by Sounds of Blackness that is just, I think everyone should listen to that song at least once. It's just a powerful song, and it got me through some dark times in the pandemic during the Black Lives Matter protests and stuff like that, and all the craziness. But then there's also songs that, there's Laraji, who has this release called Essence slash Universe, and
Okay.
that puts me in a very tranquil place. And 2M, I don't know how you pronounce it actually, TU space M apostrophe. They
Oh
have
yeah.
they have
I
this
don't know either.
they have this release
Yeah.
called Monochrome, and the first song, it's just instant relaxation for me. So like yeah, anyway, so like recording music I think is important, so that I think they're good tools. But I think it's important not to get lost in recording and releasing music, because the live aspect is also very healing. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's what, and obviously I love what you do, because you do so much live music. But I think that's something we should, I want to bring back more to electronic music, to techno, is like jamming, the live, the energy, feeling the energy in a room, not just picking the song for the moment, but like being right there in the moment, playing it, making mistakes, and then like going with it. That's it's like part of the ride, it's life.
Right. Like
Yeah.
seeing if you can fix it, like recover, like
Yeah.
doing all the different. So then, okay, so then being a live artist versus DJing, like if you had to give up one, then which one would you give up? Like if someone said you could only do one or the other.
I mean, I would give up DJing. I'm gonna be honest. I really love DJing. But currently I would definitely, I mean, I would not let my drum machine sit there and collect dust. So
Right. I'm with you.
um, I don't. I mean, currently I mean, for me, it's all kind of the same thing at this point. Like the way I think of, like, I have two TR8Ss, and I think of them as kind of like two CDJs. Like they're kind of two sources of music. They can have different rhythms, different textures, and it's about juggling, balancing them, and but also the way I play live. I do like the way I set the settings in my drum machine. I like for it to hit. I like for it to sound great in a club, and so I don't, and I try to get my technique down so that you know. Can you tell the difference? Is Bernard playing live, or is this a recording? Although I basically just play recordings of me playing live at this point, so I don't know. We'll see. It's all kind of the same for me.
Okay, so when you play live, do you have these specific patterns, like, or at least like, do you have patterns ready, or do you program from scratch? Like, what is your approach to that? Like,
It's different. It depends on my mood. So like my set in Portland, sometimes I'm really ballsy, and I'll just go in with like nothing planned. So like I'm just like I'm starting with this pattern, and then whatever happens happens. So and that usually ends up as more of a wormhole. Like I go strange places, and I can't predict where I'm going. So who knows what the audience is experiencing.
right.
Um, um, but last week I opened up for Moma Ready, which was like amazing. Moma Ready is one of my heroes. Um, but I've been getting into more of the loops lately, and kind of light portals where actually, for this last, I did I did a 2 hour live performance to open up for him, and I went through 16 different patterns. And I didn't perfect it, but I was just like, I want each loop to be so solid, like you hit play and it hits like immediately.
Right,
Um,
right.
and then I just want to try to stay there as long as possible without, and still keep it interesting. And so like the last couple live sets I did have been like more static and more about creating a mood and being hypnotic, and it all depends. Like I like reflecting and interpreting energy. So, and I think part of my energy is part of that. So it depends.
Nice. Yeah. No, I definitely can sense the energy whenever, like I said early in the very beginning, it's like, I know it's going to be good. I just don't know what to expect, We're getting sort of close at the top of the hour, but I do have another question for you. I have so many questions for you. So like, I would love to have you back again. It's like have like a part 2 of this. But going back to the playing live, do you ever feel that you have to sound or play a certain way, like if you're playing with DJs on the lineup or anything like that? Like, what is your feeling about that? Or do you not even, or do you even care? Or like, you know what I mean? Does that even bother you? Like what's your thought on that?
I mean, I think about it like, you know, you don't want to be the live performer that comes in and just plays something just totally not the vibe, you know, like
Right.
You can get away with it if you know, but it's kind of like DJing. Like you can switch the vibe really nicely as a DJ if you do it really well and precisely, and you pick the right track. So sometimes I think it that way. Like I'm like, okay, I know who's playing. What could I start with where I can just hook people in, and then gain a little bit of their trust, and then let's go somewhere else. You know, like so that's kind of how I think about it sometimes. When I open up for Moment Ready, I went up to 170 again, and then went back down.
Nice.
So, and that's kind of also part of it. Is I kind of like just kind of also not caring. You know, like just. I think
taking those risks.
Taking the risk, because I
right?
feel like that's part of the live thing is that you can really take some risk in a way that's a little. You can take risk as you know DJing, but like there's all sorts of things you can do on the fly live, and will people like it? Will they not? I don't. Is this way too loud? I don't know. Let's see what happens.
So true. So okay, so. Just let everybody know where they can like find some of your music, and I'm going to put it in the description, but I just like, what do you have coming out? I know there's some projects happening too. So
projects. Well, first check out my recent album called Hello. I think that's a good start. There's one of the last track on that album is called Liberate, which of course ties into the Liberate Us events. But we also had a remix contest, so there's going to be some really good remixes actually. So we're going to have some remixes coming out soon with that. I just had a remix on a Gladstone Deluxe EP, which we put out on Black Techno Matters as well.
Very cool.
And then this Loops, Portals, and Wormholes. I'm just saying to keep a lookout. It's turning into a little secret giant project, so we'll see what happens.
Very cool. And will the Liberate album that'll be out on time for the event?
It'll come out. It comes out June. It'll come out on Juneteenth.
On June, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice. So everyone be on the lookout for that.
And yeah, check out blacktechnomatters.org, or you can go to my Instagram, and you could usually find something to listen to there.
Very cool. Well, Bernard, it's been awesome to have you on the show. And like I said, I definitely want you to come back. If you love to come back, I would love to have you because I want to talk. I have so much more to talk about, but that's okay. Like I can bring you back again. So it's like for a part 2.
Part 2.
Right? Yeah. Is there anything you want to say to our listeners before the end of the show?
Trovarsi is awesome. Support Trovarsi.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Anything else you want to say?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. I just want to take a moment. I have a moment of gratitude because a lot of people help me with what I do. I would be much more stressed right now if there weren't a lot of people helping me. So obviously, Trovarsi, you're part of our Black Techno Matters crew. So thank you for all your help. And I want to say thank you to my husband, Chris, who quietly is behind the scenes and helps keep me sane. And then, of course, our whole other Black. I know, right? Chris is awesome. The whole Black Techno Matters crew, anyone who supports us, anyone who's dared to listen to my crazy songs, just thank you for all of that. And I hope to continue to entertain you.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, so this has been Transduction Signal on DubLab Radio. I'm your host, Trovarsi. Thank you, Bernard, for being here. And
Thank you for having me.
you're welcome. Take care. Peace.